What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Boundaries podcast. We are here and we are chilling. We ready to get into it.
What up?
What up?
What's going on, bro?
Dude, I was watching our first episode, and that's like my favorite intro of all time, because I introed it, and I'm like, what up, y'all? Welcome to Breaking Boundaries podcast, where we discuss, and I look at you, and I'm like, wait, what do we discuss again? And you're like, whatever the fuck we want, and we start laughing, and fucking feeds into the intro. It was badass, dude.
Yeah, I think I watched that one the other day, too.
It was fucking perfect.
Yeah,
I've been watching a lot of our old shit lately.
I know, man, because we've been, slacking a little bit,
Yeah, breaking. But it's fine, dude.
No, it's not, bro.
It is, dude.
It's not fine, dude.
It's absolutely fine. Everyone needs a break every now and then.
Fuck that, dude. That's how I am, though, bro. Like, with, doing shit like every day, like doing the Stairmaster every day. I know I bring it up a lot, bro, but and that's why I do it every day. And I won't stop doing it every day, because to start doing something new, to reprogram your mind to doing something new again, it's so much work to get there.
Yeah.
So I freak out, bro, if I'm not doing something every day.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean? Because I'm afraid of it kind of lacking off,
I know what you mean. Dude, if this was purely all we did,
right,
then I would be like, yeah, dude, no breaks.
Yeah.
But we both have so much fucking shit going on, dude.
I actually have a lot of time on my hands, bro. So I should be doing some shit, you know what I mean? But I depend on you for all the audio and all the clips and all that stuff, But I should really get off my ass and do a little more, bro. But we're good. We're good.
We are good, bro.
We're
and
back.
the thing is breaks, no breaks, whatever. We're sending a message, bro. And we're becoming a positive part of the community, the podcasting community, social media, whatever, however you want to put it. We're putting a positive message out there, I think. And, we're contributing to making the internet less of a corrupt place and more of a positive place. And that's what makes me happy, is that we're doing this shit, bro. And fucking, we've been pretty consistent. I'm pretty happy with the progress that we're making.
Yeah. I mean, this is my happy place, bro.
Yeah.
Having these conversations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's on the show or off the show.
Yeah.
I enjoy these conversations about life, man, and us going through life together,
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. So I just got back from Alabama. Mm-hmm. Fucking Alabama, man. I was in fucking Huntsville, and it's not the prettiest place in the world, but I got off the plane out there, dude, and I got kind of sick. I was feeling like shit when I got off the plane, so I was out there for 6 days, and for 3 of those days I was sick, so I didn't really go do much. So I'm sure there's nicer things out there than where I was at, but I didn't really make it downtown more than once, and I spent some time in the hotel room just because I was feeling like shit. But overall, it was a cool trip, and but being out there, every time I travel alone, bro, it gives me gratitude for what I have here at home, and it makes me I wanted to get home. I was out there for business. Every time I'm traveling, I'm always out there, working, and it gets fucking lonely when you're traveling alone. Some people like it. I don't like it, bro. Yeah. And so it makes me really grateful for what I have here. And it always reminds me that with as much shit as I have going on here, and just life always feels so busy. Overall, I have a pretty fucking good life.
Yeah.
I'm pretty grateful for that, and being out there made me realize that once again. And
because people got it rough in these other places too, man. We got it cush here.
Yeah.
And I mean, I personally like traveling alone, man. I love going places, dude. But there's a thing, bro. It's I know you got to this place of something that you really wanted, and it's like, so we have these manifestations, these things we want it, right? And we want the thing, but we forget about all the other shit that comes with it, bro. You know what I mean? There's other shit that comes with it, dude. And so you get there and you're like, oh, fuck, and you feel like overpressured, Yeah. So I get that. Absolutely, man.
Yeah, definitely. I did while I was out there, I was actually, I've worked in the aerospace industry for a long time, and I'm officially certified as a solderer for electronics. So I am pretty proud of that.
Nice.
And I think that's one more skill that I have to put out into the world, and that shit makes me money, and I'm
another
happy
thing to put in the bank.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, man. So we missed last week because I was traveling. How was your week?
My week was good, bro. I had to go out of town beginning of the week, man, and do some stuff, dude, and just doing a lot of like reflecting this week, and the story of Moses.
Yeah.
The story of Moses where he I think we've brought it up before, man, and taking the Israelites, to the promised land, man, and how it took 40 years, to get there.
Right.
Because I've been on this realization of constantly, why am I not there yet? Why am I not there yet? Mm-hmm. And he talks about, like God comes to him and tells him to get water. He says to speak to the rock.
Yeah.
But instead Moses is hitting the rock. Hitting the rock, forcing it.
Right.
And I love that story, man, because that's where I'm at, of constantly forcing it.
Right.
I hate waiting, bro. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I hate waiting. It's the unknown. It's why isn't there yet? And it just causes so much frustration. You know what I mean? Why? And that's what's slowing me down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pounding at the fucking rock instead of just letting it be and listening, to the answers.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. It's a good analogy for life. That made a lot of sense as you were saying that. I feel like that sometimes too. It's like, and we talk about it a lot. Like, you're right, dude. Forcing shit holds you back. Mm-hmm. It holds you back. But just like we're always saying, it's like, fuck though, dude, that balance, because there has to be some action, step forward. But
yeah, dude. And I talk about this shit, but I do not have it figured out by any means.
Yep. Same. And I think most people are like that. And I think life will probably be like that till it's over. Is like, I think life's meant to be like that, right? Like, we're always supposed to be figuring it out.
Yeah.
How to get to the next place. Otherwise, we become the rock.
But it's letting go, but not giving up.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep. For sure.
It's letting go and not giving up, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
If the fucking crypto market would just do what it's supposed to do, dude, then everything would be fucking all good, right? Yeah. Like, if it could just be, you know what I mean? And fuck, dude.
Yeah. You see XRP though?
Yeah, dude.
It's creeping. It's creeping back up.
It's creeping, bro. But that's just, it's all good, dude.
Yeah.
It's all good. It is what it is. It's gonna flow how it's gonna flow, and that's just what it is. All I know, dude, is that whatever fucking happens with any of my ventures, I don't give a fuck, bro. I'm not giving up.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna fucking get there. I just don't have it in me. And they talk about it, dude. It's like, once God gives you this fucking vision, you know what I mean? You can't fucking let it go. You can't ignore it. With my success, with my spiritual awakening, with everything, bro. Like, I can't fucking there's no, until I get there, until I succeed, bro. There's just no letting it go, man.
Right.
I just don't have it in me.
Yeah. I like that. I feel the same. Because at one time I was kind of the opposite, where I was just lazy as fuck. There was a point in my life where I was just lazy as fuck. And I was fine just settling for the job that I had, settling for living paycheck to paycheck, settling for, living in a shit little 1-bedroom apartment with a wife and a kid, not trying to better myself, letting my employer make me think that's all I'm worth. And I was fine just being complacent with nothing. You know what I mean? And I think back to those times when I lived like that, and I could never go back to that, bro.
Yeah.
I think about it and I'm like, you know, at that time I would try to tell myself that I was just so satisfied and happy with life, and I was trying to be that humble person, like, you know, no, it's fine. I'm grateful for what I have, and that's all I need, and I don't need anymore. I'm not meant to have anymore, and I just need to be a humble person. But inside I was fucking breaking down, and my soul, my spirit was, you know, crumbling because I knew I wasn't living to my full potential.
Yeah. And I've been that way my whole life. Like, I've always known, you know, even when I was at my worst and, you know, all the shit that we did, you know what I mean? Like, I always knew, like, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm meant for something more.
Right.
I've always fucking known that, dude. And isn't it so good? Okay. Even if you're fucking not there yet, bro, isn't it so nice to have a purpose?
Yeah, for sure it is.
To feel a value, to believe you can get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's a good thing, man.
Yeah.
That's a good fucking thing.
Yeah. Even with like purpose though, purpose is a weird thing though for me, because it's like, I'm not sure I know what my purpose is, but I know that I have one. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I know that I have a purpose, but I'm still not there where I'm like, I know what I'm meant to be doing on this earth. You know what I mean? And like, I'm trying to figure it out, but just like you said, if I go and try to force a purpose up on myself, then I'm stressing myself to a point to where I'm trying to live up to something that I'm not even sure if that's what's meant to be, right? I'm just telling myself, this is my purpose, and this is what I'm working toward in life, you know, and I'm not even sure, you know, if that's really my purpose. So I don't know. Sometimes you say words and it triggers me to start thinking about it. And I've been thinking about that a lot too, is like living up to a purpose, having a purpose. And I'm like, well, what is my purpose? You know? I don't know.
I think it's whatever you want it to be.
Sure.
You know, and I think if you want something so bad, I think that's got to be your purpose. Like, it has to be installed for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, the idea didn't come from nowhere.
I want too many things though, bro.
Yeah.
I want too many things.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I want it all too, dude.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want it all too, bro.
But I can tell you that what we're doing right now, sitting right here on this couch with this camera on and these mics in our hands and talking about the things that we're talking about, I can tell you that I want this more than anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, after my son and God and my family, like, this is the most important thing to me, you know? And like, yeah, I have to have other things. We both have other things, you know, that we're doing that I think we both enjoy to like be financially stable and make it in life. But like, this is what I want more than anything.
Yeah.
You know, and so maybe this is my purpose. Maybe my purpose is to share my experiences with people, put a message into the world, you know, and I think with the internet these days, you know, everyone wants this right now. Everyone wants to be a podcaster. Everyone wants to be an influencer, you know, but, you know, I think that it's different for us because, you know, everyone wants it, but not everyone's putting out a message, right?
Yeah. And why do they want it?
Right.
You know, financially, you know, popularity. I don't believe that's any of those things that we want. I mean, we just want to help people. Yeah. You know, and hopefully it does. And we want to reach people. Yeah. You know, but I definitely feel that way about this podcast as well, man. You know, I just want to speak my truth, bro. Yeah. You know, I just want to speak my truth, man. This is like my therapy where I just feel like I could speak my truth of whatever I'm going through. Right. You know?
Right. Yeah. Because I agree, because this is what helped me, bro. Yeah. I've talked to you about it before. Like I never knew the power of like watching you know, it's kind of cliche to say motivational content, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
I never like saw the power of it until I was into this like dark place. And like, it sounds stupid, but going on and like picking up my phone and watching some podcasts where people are talking about shit that I need to hear. Like it really did help, dude.
Dude, it still helps me today.
Yeah.
You know, when I pop on there, I go on, you know, something gets me motivated, you know, or feeling better, you know?
Right.
Yeah, dude.
I'm telling you, dude, Andrew Tate, like, I talk about him too much, dude. And I'm a 37-year-old man fucking talking about Andrew Tate, but like, people don't like realize, like, cause like my mom hates Andrew Tate.
Yeah, most women do.
You know, but she doesn't like, if I could tell her, like what watching Andrew Tate videos, like where it took me from and where it took me to, she would maybe appreciate, you know, who he is a little more. But like, you know, I can't like tell her about the dark places I've been in life. Like I've been in really dark places. I'm not going to go tell my mom who's in her 60s about the dark places I've been. It's just going to worry her that I could go back to that place again. Right. You know, but like, you know, I remember being like in this really dark place and like really dark, bro. And like, I didn't have any idea who Andrew Tate was. And this video comes on about this guy telling me that I'm fucking worth something and that I'm someone and that I can be who it is that I want to be. And that, you know, and everyone thinks that he spreads this horrible message and that he's misogynistic and all this stuff. But like, he tells these young men, like, dude, you're worth something. Like your life means something, you know? And like a lot of young men and older men too need to fucking hear that, dude.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
It's a hard place for men these days.
Yeah, dude, and he's making real change.
He is.
You know, he's making real change, bro. And of course, there's balance to everything, like we talk about it. You know what I mean? It's also, you know, this day and age about getting money, you know, and you're not worth shit if you don't get money, you know, also. So that's, you know, it's balance and everything, dude, you know? Yeah. But at the end of the day, bro, like seriously think about it, dude. Like we're that, the things we're doing with our life, we're that 1%, bro. Yeah. Other people don't give a fuck about this. They don't even think about any of this stuff. They don't even care, bro. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like we're making change in our own lives and others, dude. Like straight up. You know, sometimes it's like beating yourself up about shit, dude. And it's like, dude, we're doing real shit here, dude. Like other people don't give a fuck. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And I think what's unique about what we're doing on this podcast specifically is like, we're not coming like, oh, we're the guru. Follow us and do what we do, right? We're not coming like, oh, I have life figured out. I know exactly what you need to do for yourself, right? Right. Like we're coming with a positive message, but sharing our own struggles and saying, hey, we don't have it figured out. Let's figure it out together, right? Yeah. Like, hey, you're watching this. I don't have all the answers for you, but I'm willing to figure out the answers with you. Yeah. I can tell you what I've conquered. Yeah. You know what I mean? Exactly. So I think that's unique. And I think that's something that, you know, you don't see a lot. A lot of these podcasts and a lot of these, you know, influencers on these platforms that we're all watching, a lot of them are coming like, oh, I have it figured out. Oh, I am the man. I am, you know, I've done all these things and you should follow me, you know? And I'm not saying like everyone thinks like that, but like that's kind of the you know, that's kind of like the message being put out there. Like that's kind of what's being implied through these people's like the way that they're coming, putting out their content, you know, and with us, I don't think we do that. I think it's more, you know, not that I'm trying to glaze us or anything. Well, I mean, but you know,
we don't want nobody to think we have an ego. Yeah, you know, that's a top, like I had this week, bro, about like, you know, when you fucking say to somebody like, I'm blessed and highly favored, man, like God fucking loves me, right? It's like society wants to keep you down. Yeah. You know, they call that shit an ego. You know, I know people think that I have an ego and it's not. And that's the fucking sickness of things, that if you think highly of yourself, you have a fucking ego. Yeah. What the fuck is that, bro?
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's like is difference, dude, from being fucking humble. You know what I mean? Because I know I get that a lot from people, bro, where they're like, think that I have an ego or that I'm being egotistical, and it's not, bro.
Right.
I'm humble as fuck.
Right.
But if I think good about myself, if I think highly about myself, that's called an ego.
Right.
And I fucking hate that shit.
Yeah, I'm
you know
with
what I
you.
mean? I hate that shit. Society wants to keep us fucking small.
Yeah.
That's what they're trained to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's another thing that I've been touching on this week, you know, and dealing with people and noticing people's reactions to things. You know what I mean? And I don't give a fuck, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, dude? I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks, dude. Seriously, man.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. You're right. Like, it's not okay to feel good about yourself anymore, right?
Right.
Like you're supposed to wake up and feel like you're not enough.
Yeah.
You're supposed to, you know, get out of bed and you're supposed to be, like you said, quote unquote humble.
Yeah.
And say, "Oh, I'm nothing."
Yeah.
Right.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
How does that even make sense, bro?
Yeah, no, it's true. And I don't think that I don't think that would be God's intention for us either, but it's society's intention,
dude,
for sure.
You just took the words out of my mouth. Like, dude, God, like, dude, thinks that we're great, man. Like he made us great. We are fucking great.
Yeah.
You know, but they take the Bible and the words that were said and they just like I was at church with my son this weekend and we had the conversation afterwards and they're talking about money and how, you know, don't chase money, this or that. And we left church and I go, son, they think we're supposed to be broke.
Right.
To be a God's child, you're supposed to be broke.
Right.
God wants us to have everything, dude.
Yeah.
He gives us the option for everything, man.
Absolutely.
But people and Christians and whatnot think that they have to be broke. You know? No, you're not supposed to envy money.
Right.
You're supposed to envy God first, not money is what they're saying. But people think that, oh, I'm supposed to be broke.
Right.
And I'm supposed to be struggling.
Right.
And that's being humble.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't make sense, does it?
Tell that to the motherfuckers, the multimillionaires that are donating money to the church.
Yeah.
Do you want them not to have fucking money? You want them not to fucking chase money?
Right. Right. And what gets me is these like huge, have you ever seen like these, what do they call them? You know, these big, huge churches like Joel Osteen and like these big preacher dudes that come out and speak to these huge crowds.
Is that the one old man that looks all demonic?
Not him, but he's another one of them. I know who you're talking about.
And how he reacted. He has like a private jet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like the way he reacts is like straight demonic,
Yeah,
bro.
super churches, I think is what they call them.
Yeah.
And they're out here and they're telling you, you need to give to our church. And they have these crowds of all these people because they do these events and they're passing this offering plate around and they're telling you, you know, don't envy money or don't, you know, that you shouldn't want more than what you have and to be humble and all these things like you just said while they're passing this plate around. And this Joel Osteen dude, I remember, I think there was, I can't remember if it was wildfires or something was going on there, a hurricane, there was a natural disaster. And he was like, nope, I'm closing the doors. No one's coming in, you know? And it's like, he's having people give money, putting all their money in this offering plate and telling them that's what God wants them to do. And then, you know, people are in the middle of a natural disaster and their home is destroyed and he closes the door and says, no, you can't come in.
Dude, it's straight fucking psychotic fucking manipulation, dude. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. It's like cultage. There's so many demonic spirits, I believe, that come through churches. And I'm not saying all of them do, but shit like that one guy I was talking about, dude, he like looks straight demonic, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like you see it in his eyes, bro.
Right.
You know, and he has people in this trance. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think that's what the devil does, though. You know, I think the devil
uses churches, bro, and religion. Absolutely.
Yeah. So like, you're right. Like there's a lot of good churches out there, man, and there's a lot of good religious people. And you know, I'm not trying to generalize everyone. I don't think you are either. But yeah, there is people who use religion and grasp at your emotions to benefit themselves while they push you further down.
Yeah.
And it's wrong.
It's crazy, dude.
It's wrong. You know, and that's why I think that's why I've you know, I'm you know, I'm a Muslim and I'm somewhat religious now, and you know, I'm not very good at being a Muslim. I'm pretty bad at it, bro. But it's what I believe, and so like, you know, and you know, the Quran tells me to love my Christian brothers and my Jewish brothers because they're the closest to us in affection for God, and you know, and so I don't like to generalize religions or religious people, but you know, at some point, like, you can't just trust someone because they're telling you that they're teaching you the word of God, right? You know, yeah, it's interesting how easy it is for people's emotions to be grasped in that way.
And dude, at the end of the day, man, you know how I talk about it. It's like you just have to ignore all of that. Mm-hmm. Shut your mind down, you know, and you'll find the truth. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, you got to find it within you, man.
Fuck, dude, you have to, bro. There's no other place you can find it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because people are people, man. There's a 50-50 chance, and maybe it's less of a good chance that, you know, there's more than a 50% chance, or at least a 50% chance that if you listen to someone else, they're going to lead you down the wrong road. They don't have your best interests in mind, right?
Yeah, and we're humans and we're influenced. Yeah. You know, I'm guilty of it myself. Yeah. You know, you can be influenced, like who you hang out with, what you listen to, et cetera, et cetera. You can easily be influenced. Right. You know? Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone to therapy?
No.
With a therapist or anything?
Like marriage counseling.
Okay. Yeah. But not like personal therapy.
No. Yeah. No, dude. I mean, I haven't, bro. I don't, dude, and the way they look at you is weird. I don't know, but just even in like marriage counseling, bro, they have like this stare. I don't know. They're just paying attention to what you say, but it's super weird, dude. Right. Every time. But all I know is with a couple different of my exes, I went to counseling, bro, and I left out of there with a smile, bro, because without even saying anything, they were saying I'm not the problem. Right. When I walked out of there, bro, both my ex-girlfriend and my ex-wife, dude, they were both pissed when they left there, dude, because all they do is have you guys talk, and then each person sees what the fucking problem is, and they realize they're the problem, and they fucking, and dude, I left there, I'm like smiling, I'm like, man, I like her, dude. They're like, fuck that bitch, this and that, dude. I'm like, dude, every time, bro, that I would go, dude, like it would, and I wouldn't say anything, and they wouldn't say that I was not the problem or that she was the problem, but just by talking, bro, it would fucking come out, dude. I literally there with a big old cheeser on my face, bro. Yeah.
That's good shit. Yeah. What we were just talking about just made me think about therapists too. How like I don't know why that hit my brain, but I remember when I was younger, I went to therapy. I was like in my late 20s, maybe something like that. And
like 40 years ago.
Just because I got a kid graduating high school doesn't mean
you're old, bro.
I know. I'm starting to feel like it. I shouldn't say I'm starting to feel like it. I'm not feeling like it physically or mentally, but I guess I'm feeling older mentally in the sense that I feel wiser these days. I feel like I'm smarter. What was it? Oh, therapist. Yeah. Therapists, yeah. Therapists are the same, dude. They'll lead you down the fucking wrong road for money too. Oh, yeah. And I was thinking about it because, you know, we talk about all of this spiritual growth and personal growth, and I was thinking back to those times when I went, and I was thinking about those conversations. And I remember there was this male therapist that I was seeing, and I don't know why I got it in my head that I had some mental issue. Oh, I'm depressed, or I have such bad anxiety, and I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what was going on with me back then, and why I gave in to the way of thinking that, I need to go. Because society
was telling you that.
Right,
the
exactly.
Therapist telling you that. Society's telling you that.
Yeah, you know? And so I just think back to how I'm letting that guy sit there, and he's asking me to tell him my whole life story, And, you know, I'm going on about my childhood. And it was like when you see the shit in the movies, you know, like,
yeah.
And you know, and he's feeding me, he's egging me on. He's, oh man, you're really getting a lot out today. I think this was good progress. And I think back to it, dude, and I'm like, fuck, dude, you don't need anyone. You don't need a therapist. You don't need a preacher. You don't need anyone to tell you what you should be doing for yourself. You just fucking find that shit, dude. And what all this, you know, meditating the way I have been recently and journaling, you know, gratitude journal that I told you about, and all this stuff is making me realize, like, you know, all that bullshit about, I don't want to say mental illness, but like when we let society tell us that we're just depressed and there's nothing you can do about it, you know, go see a therapist. That's what you can do about it. It's a crock of shit, man.
And here's the thing too, bro, is that motherfuckers that do therapy, bro, they do it their whole lives.
Yeah.
So how the fuck did that help anything? You know what I mean? Their whole lives. And then now also I'm going to insist my kids do therapy.
Right.
So where's the fucking cure?
Yeah. Isn't that...
What did we solve?
Yep, exactly. Isn't that crazy when you have... I remember kids when I was in middle school saying, I have to go to therapy today. You know, kids when I was in high school, my friends saying, oh, my parents put me in therapy. I have to go to therapy. Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
That's insane to me. How can a kid in middle school need therapy? They need some fucking parents that are fucking,
so here's the thing too. If your relationship with your kid is good, they don't need fucking therapy, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something else missing there, bro.
Right.
It's fucking insane. Therapy's just like medication, bro. They're just selling another thing to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just selling another thing to us. Dude, if you're just acting from your heart, bro, from your heart space, it's the cure for everything.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're acting from your fucking heart space, bro.
Yeah, I agree.
And gratitude. You've never seen a grateful motherfucker go fuck his life off.
Yeah.
You never seen a grateful motherfucker go rob a bank, lose his fucking job, you never see a grateful person do that, dude.
Right.
Said, man, I woke up grateful as hell this morning and then I went out and fucked my life off.
Right.
You don't hear that, bro.
Yeah, it's true.
And gratitude comes from the heart, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we're acting out of the heart, man, that's the cure for everything.
Yeah.
But how do we get there? There's so many blockages. There's so much of this blocking the heart chakra, dude. There's so much of society and people and and all this trash, man. And that's why I spend so much time alone, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? I spend so much time alone and I'm happy being fucking alone, dude, because I can hear God that way, dude.
Yeah.
And I can act from my heart that way.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
true. When you were younger, were you the type like you had a lot of friends and you were always out like...
No. Didn't fit in.
Right.
Didn't have father around, didn't have mother around, not a relationship with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So alone a lot, dude. And the friends that I did have were bad and doing bad things. You know what I mean? And was pretty lost, man. And that comes from, and I'm telling you, man, from not having a relationship with the mother and father. Right. My dad was good. My dad was a good man, dude. He only did what, he knew, he's from the old country, dude. And really old school, and go to work all the time. As long as I'm feeding my family, that's what I'm doing, but I had nobody to talk to, bro. Like I had nobody to fucking talk to. And in turn, I directed that to other influences, negative older influences, and went down a path of addiction and things like that. Yeah. And that's why it's so important, dude. I just had this conversation with somebody, and we've had it many times before, bro, with my children, dude. I might not be a strict dad, and I kind of let them do what they want and make their own decisions, but I have a relationship with them. Yeah. They can come to me with anything. Yeah. And they feel safe doing that. Right. And that is how I have control of the trajectory of my children's life, man. Right. You know what I mean? And I just had, fuck, dude, I had such a good, it was just random. We went to church with my son and he wanted some sushi, went out and had sushi, man. And we had this conversation, bro, and I got to walk away from it. And it was about, you know, stuff in his life, who he's hanging out with, you know. And I got to walk away from it, man. And I said, son, think about some of the stuff, you know, that we talked about after giving him a hug. And he just smiled and he walked away. And I felt it, bro. Like, dude, like, I'm a good dad, dude.
Yeah.
And like, I make sense and I'm giving good advice.
Right.
You know, and sometimes it's like, you know, it's like a surprise to myself, you know, and I could see him all week and we could hang out or do this or go to the gym or whatever. But that right there, bro, is impact, dude, on his fucking life, bro. Right. And that's because of the changes I've made with myself and the things I'm doing with myself, dude. And another thing, his cousin tells him, why are you always trying to be better? Why are you always trying to be better? You know, always trying to eat right, this, that. You never get there. You never succeed. You know, why are you always trying to be better? You know?
Right. Yeah.
Dude, that's so fucking good, bro. And I'm not trying to like take the credit or like be egotistical or anything like that.
No,
but because that's the example that I leave, and my kids are trying to be better mentally, physically, and spiritually. Yeah. Not because I'm telling them to do that, but because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Right.
But you saying that right there, is his cousin his age?
He's a little younger.
Okay, so like the fact that we have kids this young who are already programmed to think that
dude,
you shouldn't be trying to do better with yourself every day.
Yeah, bro.
Like, you know, and you know, don't get me wrong, I don't know his cousin or anything, and you know, I don't know who it is that you're talking about, and so I'm not saying that it's the kid's fault. I'm just saying that like society is even hitting our young ones this way to make them think, don't try to do better. Don't try to be a better person. Don't try to succeed. Don't, you know, don't look at failure as failure, not as a step towards success, right? If you fail, you're a failure, you know, and that's how society portrays failure these days, or, you know, and we've said it before. I think that failure, there's no such thing as failure.
It's not.
You know, and the fact that kids so young today are already thinking like, just settle.
Yeah, that's sad, dude. It's sad when he told me that, bro. And I'm just telling, you know, because he you know, there's other people that are in the family in our lives, you know, and we're talking about it, you know, and he's just like, and he tries to help them, encourage them, you know, the people, especially his family and his loved ones. And I'm just telling him, son, like, you got to just let that shit go, man. Yeah. They don't want to change, dude. Yeah. And he's even saying, we're talking at lunch, man, he's like, you know, cause some of these people in our family, he goes, Dad, they're making these terrible life decisions. Like they're clearly thinking and making this choice, this major life decision. He goes, it's insanity. I said, it is insanity, son. It is not being mentally well. When you're making life changing, I don't want to say exactly what it is, you know, but it's just like, it's crazy because we're talking about other people that I know, you know, and that's been a thing too, this week. And it's like, you know, your loved ones, you know, and they're making these terrible decisions. And I'm telling them, and you know, and through the conversation, I'm clearing thinking, why do I give a fuck? Right. Why do I give a fuck? Right. You know what I mean? I shouldn't focus on these people making these bad, that sucks for them and the outcome's going to be bad for them, but why should I give a fuck? Yeah. Because I do care, bro. And that's why I stay away from people who aren't making good choices in their life, because I do care so much.
Yeah. It's not that you're like, fuck everyone, fuck these people. It's that you don't want to get wrapped up in caring about someone who's not going to care about themselves that way.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important who I have in my fucking life. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's why it's so important, dude. Definitely. And cause I do fucking care. Yeah. But I'm gonna protect my fucking own energy first. Yeah. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And so fuck it, you know? Yeah. You do you. Mm-hmm. I love you, but I'm leaving you with love. Yeah. But we can't. Right. No more. Yep. We can't do this no more. Yep. I love you, but I'm not gonna do it. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I think we're similar in that way. I mean, we have a mutual friend who we've done that with recently. And, you know, I've realized the same thing. I'm kind of the same way. We get so attached to people and then it starts eating away at us. Yeah. You know, and then we're watching people
destroy themselves in some way or another, and we're carrying so much that it starts bringing us down. It starts tearing away at our soul.
Yeah.
It starts, and then we're stressing out, and we feel this sadness within us for someone else because we care so much that we're so focused on them doing good for themselves when they don't want to do good for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're right. You can still love those people, but you don't have, when we go out of our way to care so much about someone when they don't even care about themselves that much, we're enabling them.
Yeah.
Right?
But the thing is, though, and I get that with my son, and we're talking about his family and other friends that he's around, but then it becomes lonely. And then it becomes lonely, and because I'm discussing this with him, and he's younger and he wants friends, and he didn't have that many friends or this much interaction with people when he was younger, and so he's hanging out with his friends, but I get it, and he doesn't want to be lonely, but this is the discussion we had, dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just how it is, man. And you have to be alone, and I know it sucks, bro. You know what I mean? Because I've been that way most of my life, dude, alone, dude, and, but the closer I get to God, man, I'm not alone, but I get that, but it's just, I get where he's coming from, because we're so much alike, bro. And he's different, bro.
Yeah.
He's fucking different. I know how that is to feel fucking different.
Yep.
Different for him. And they tell you, no, you're not different. You're the same as, especially in the program and shit like that. It's like thinking that you're different isn't healthy. You know what I mean? Bullshit, dude. It's such a fucking blessing. I'm so grateful that my children don't fit in, dude.
Yeah.
They don't fit in with the crowd, man.
Yeah. When I was growing up, when I was younger, I grew up in the punk rock scene. So from the time I was like in 7th, 8th grade, I was already hanging out with people a lot older than me, and we all dressed all punk rock, tall ass mohawks, fucking chaos spikes, and leather jackets and studs all over and tight sewn up pants. And so that scene, you're already kind of an outcast, and now it's become kind of trendy, but back then it wasn't trendy at all. And so, but I had a really big group of friends, and like a really big group of friends. And we were, I remember going on tour with my friend's band, and like when I was 18, and we were always out going to LA and going to shows, and like, the scene was so huge that I was always around people. Right. And then, when I was 18 to almost 19, I met my son's mom. And we met because I moved out when I was 18. I moved to a spot here in downtown, basically. Moved to a spot, got a pad with 4 of my friends or 3 of my friends. We went and rented this townhome in a really bad part of town. And, and I'm this little white boy in this area where these, thug type dudes are wanting to rob me and shit. But I'm like, yeah, and we get this spot. And then my son's mom had just turned 18, and she went to a party at my neighbor's house, and I met her. Then she moved next door. She moved in with the people whose party she went to. She moved next door. We met each other. We got together. Next thing you know, she's calling me and saying, hey, I'm pregnant. I'm like, all right, shit. So I take the step to do what was right. I became a dad. Well, those people that I hung out with in the punk scene, who I thought were my very close friends and loved me, they disowned me. Yeah. I remember calling my buddy and saying, hey, I knocked my chick up and we're going to have a kid. And I remember his exact words. What the fuck? You're fucking stupid, dude. Like straight up told me I'm stupid for not having her abort that kid. Yeah. And then I call another one of my buddies who I thought was my real friend. You're making the wrong decision. Why are you going to do that? Like just completely unsupported. And at that moment I was like, you know what? Fuck you guys. And then I left everyone, man. I left everyone. I went and became a dad, and I just stuck with my wife and my kid. I married her when I was 19 years old, and I stuck with that. And it kind of sucks because at the same time, like I probably grew some codependence because I left everyone behind and then it was just her. And she was the only person in my life at that point, right? So I was probably a little codependent on her.
Yeah, that's not healthy. But
at that point, I became alone. And I stopped hanging out with people. So at that point is when I became exactly what you're talking about. And I realized the benefit of being able to enjoy your own company.
Yeah.
You know, I realized how important it is that you're able to be alone. And it does get lonely. And there's been times in my life where I'm sitting there and I'm going through a hard time and I'm like, fuck, there are times where I'm like, I wish I had someone, but it made me stronger not to have someone.
Yeah.
Because I learned to love myself that way by being alone, you know?
Yeah, dude, that's probably the best thing that ever happened to you, getting her pregnant and doing that, you know? And that's the thing about a woman coming into your life too, man. Like, you know, the situations where, you know, so a woman comes into your life and then she's saying, you know, fuck your family and fuck whatever they're doing and they're not good for you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I used to think negatively about that situation, you know, but I don't anymore. You know what I mean? Like do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I used to always like my brother's wives or whoever it was. I used to be like, fuck that. But they can see of things that are bringing you down from the outside, you know? So that's why it's so good to have that with a woman, you know what I mean? And to, you know, they can bring you out of shit. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain. I was watching this movie, The Fighter. And it was kind of about that. I was watching last night, dude.
Right.
I just realized like, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, bro, is that so you go and we join these, you know, you're with the punk rock guys and whatever it is. And just like me when I was younger and hanging out with drug addicts or, you know, older people that sold drugs and stuff like that. And it's like, you just want to find a place where you belong. Mm-hmm. You know, you're lost. And that's why you go into those places and they see that. Yeah. So they grab you up. Yeah. You know, and I'm your friend, I'm your boy, and come do this with me, and da. And they just want to keep you down with them, bro. And as soon as you're not going to be down with them anymore, fuck you.
That's it. You're no more. Yeah.
But it all stems from not having a relationship with your parents. It's just so important, dude.
Yeah.
A healthy relationship with your parents. And I'm not knocking my parents, dude. And they only did what they knew. You know what I mean? But it all stems from that, dude. And that's why America's all fucked up, man. And divorced, dude. And we need to bring family back, man. And that's where it starts, dude, with family. Yeah. You know, that's the backbone of everything that happens in society, dude. Right. And America has the highest divorce rate. Right. You know? Right. And that's where it stems from, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had a pretty good relationship with my mom growing up, but, you know, her and my dad divorced when I was like 2 months old. And my dad married this woman who just was a really mean woman. And she never treated me and my sister well when we would go over there. I had I had a pretty good relationship with my mom, but she met my stepdad when I was 9. And then there was 5 of us. You know, there was 5 kids. He had 3, my mom had 2. Now, you know, there's us 5 kids and our 2 parents, 7 of us living in a home. You know, my mom, my stepdad, they couldn't focus on just one of us at a time, right? Yeah. And so they were really good parents, but there was just so much going on when you're in a household that big. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I went out and ran them up. You know, me and my brother, we would go out and we joined in the punk rock scene, and we ended up hanging out with these people who, you know, are older people buying alcohol and giving it to us at the age of 14, and we're out getting fucked up. And, you know, and so you're right. Like, I had a good relationship with my mom, but it wasn't like I was the only kid and I could just get her to myself all the time and just spend all this time with her. Right. And then my dad he's a good dude. He's a good guy. You know what I mean? But I didn't have the best relationship with him because he married a woman who I don't think wanted me to have a relationship with him. Right. You know? And so you're right. But with all that said, I remember my mom always told me, you need to do better as a parent than I did. Yeah. She was always of the like mindset of, I don't think I'm the best parent in the world. I want you to do better. And so those words, her telling me that, always stuck with me. And no one's the perfect parent, but I was talking to my son's mom the other day, and we were talking about it, and we're like, dude, we did do better than our parents. Like, we did a good job. So when you talk about changing the trajectory of your child's life, you know, I think that with my kid, I really did. I think I really did, you know, push him a little further as a person than I got pushed, right?
You absolutely did, bro. Like, the next generation's always better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's always better, dude.
Right.
Yeah, dude.
And that's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to know. It is a good feeling, bro. You know?
If I did anything right in life, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Being a good parent, man, and changing those generational curses, man. You know? And healing that stuff, dude. And it's a process, bro. Yeah.
And I've talked about it before, how I feel like I did a lot wrong, but then I think about it, and I do have a good relationship with my kid. And today, he, you know, because I did make him feel uncomfortable as a kid because I was really strict.
Yeah.
And I was really tough on him. And I was really like, you have to be a hard ass type of person. Right. But today he texted me because he, the drama class, the drama teacher asked him to go and do the photography for the drama photo shoot. Mm-hmm. And so I guess he's getting really good at photography. And today he texted me and he's like, I just got done with the photo shoot. And that little tiny text meant so much, bro, because I was the one that he thought about to text and say, I just got done with that. Yeah. Right. And last night I was talking to him and I was really letting him know, like, I want you to take this time being young and shoot for the stars. When you were younger, I told you to be realistic. I don't want you to be realistic anymore. I want you to shoot for what you want in life. Yeah. Right. And then he texted me that today and I'm like, you know, I think I really am making a difference in his life, and that's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, fucking cheers, bro. We're fucking...
Yeah, we're doing all right, bro.
Yeah, we're doing all right. Exactly.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. Good shit. Talk to our viewers why I walk over to get that water.
What's up, fuckers? Yeah, dude, I don't know. I don't have all the answers, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. True that. But we don't need the answers, right, bro?
We don't, bro.
We don't need the answers. We just need to keep moving.
Yeah, keep pushing, bro.
Yeah, keep moving in life. You don't have to have the answers. You don't have to know what's coming. Uncertainty is okay. It's all right to be a little unsure. Just fucking keep making moves. Yeah, bro. Fucking good shit, bro.
Sorry, dude. Yeah.
Fucking good shit, bro.
Yeah.
Fucking good life is good. Isn't it great when you can sit back and just say life is good?
Yeah, bro. St. Patty's Day.
Is it? Oh, it is St. Patrick's Day, huh?
I don't know what the fuck that means, dude.
Fucking, I think, I really don't know the history of it either, but it has something to do with war, just like every other fucking holiday.
Does it?
Yeah, some shit. I think I'm Irish, too.
Are you? I don't know. I asked somebody that earlier today. They said just people go get drunk. That's what it is, you know?
Yeah, I know. That's what we know of it is. And in fact, let's do this. Let's do this. Check this. Tell me about the history of St. Patrick's Day. What does it mean?
Sure. St. Patrick's Day is celebrated on March 17th to honor St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland. St. Patrick was a Christian missionary in the 5th century who is credited with bringing Christianity to Ireland. According to legend, he used a 3-leaf clover or shamrock to explain the Holy Trinity to the Irish people, which is why the shamrock is associated with the holiday. The day was originally a religious feast day, but over time, it has evolved into a cultural celebration of Irish heritage, In Ireland, it is a public holiday, and people often attend parades, wear green clothing, and enjoy traditional Irish food and drinks. In many places around the world, it's also celebrated with parades, music, and dancing, making it a fun and festive occasion for people of all backgrounds.
Did it have anything to do with war?
St. Patrick's Day itself doesn't have a direct connection to war. It's primarily a cultural and religious holiday celebrating St. Patrick and Irish heritage. However, in history, there have been instances where the holiday was associated with Irish nationalism and the fight for independence. For example, during the Irish struggle for independence from British rule, St. Patrick's Day was sometimes used as a symbol of Irish pride and resistance. But overall, the holiday itself is about celebrating Irish culture and heritage rather than being tied to any specific conflicts or wars.
Okay, well, maybe I was wrong. But who knows if I can even believe fucking ChatGPT, because it's just a bunch of fucking liberals that control technology anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, brother. So, once again, hit us up. Hit us up in the comments. Smash that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell on YouTube so you don't miss any content. We're going to keep bringing this shit to you guys as long as you keep watching. I'm going to bring it even if you ain't watching. But please watch. And we love you guys. We appreciate all the support. It's a feeling of gratitude every time someone comments on a video or likes a video or lets us know that you're resonating with what we're talking about. So we love you guys. We appreciate you. Can't thank you enough. Peace.
Later.